In the land of Canaan long ago, there lived a couple whose names would echo through the ages. Isaac, the son of the great patriarch Abraham, and his wife Rebekah. They yearned for a child. Years passed, and the desire for an heir seemed increasingly distant, but they did not give up. Isaac fervently prayed to the Lord, pleading for a miracle, and behold, the impossible happened. Rebekah became pregnant, but her joy soon turned into concern. She felt an unusual agitation in her womb, as if a battle were occurring inside her. Confused and anxious, Rebekah sought divine guidance. The Lord answered her plea with a surprising revelation. 2 nations are in your womb. 2 peoples will separate from your body. 1 people will be stronger than the other. The older will serve the younger. These words, enigmatic and profound, would mark the destiny not only of her family, but of entire nations. Finally, the day of childbirth arrived. The anticipation was palpable in the air, and everyone around Rebekah waited anxiously. To everyone's surprise, it was not just 1 baby, but 2 twins. The first to be born had reddish skin and was covered in hair like a little cloak. They named him Esau, which means hairy. Soon after, the second baby came, grasping his brother's heel. He was named Jacob, which means he who grasps the heel or supplanter. From the very first moment, it was clear that these 2 brothers were as different as day and night. Esau, the firstborn, grew up to be a skilled hunter, a man of the field. He was strong, robust, and impetuous, always seeking adventures in the outdoors. His body was covered in hair, giving him a unique and wild appearance. Jacob, on the other hand, was a quiet man, preferring the peaceful life of the tents. He was astute, reflective, and had a knack for business and strategy. While Esau ran through the forests in search of game, Jacob stayed at home, learning the traditions of his people and the secrets of trade. The difference between the brothers was not limited to their personalities and interests. There was also a distinction in the affection of their parents. Isaac, perhaps admiring Esau's strength and courage, had a preference for the older son. The scent of nature that Esau brought with him after his hunts and the taste of the meat he prepared enchanted the old patriarch. Rebekah, on the other hand, had a special fondness for Jacob, appreciating his calm nature and his constant presence at home. Years later, a prophet named Malachi would pronounce intriguing words about these brothers. I loved Jacob. I hated Esau. These words, shocking at first glance, did not refer to personal hatred, but rather to a divine choice regarding God's greater plan for humanity. It was a declaration that transcended individual personalities, pointing to the role each would play in the history of their people. Esau, as the firstborn, had significant rights and responsibilities in the culture of the time. The eldest son inherited not only the majority of his father's possessions, but also the patriarchal blessing, a kind of spiritual legacy passed down from generation to generation. This blessing carried with it divine promises, including the promise made to Abraham that through his descendants all the nations of the earth would be blessed. However, destiny had surprising twists in store for these brothers. The prophecy given to Rebekah before the twins were born, the older would serve the younger, would begin to unfold in unexpected ways. Esau's choices, his impulsiveness, and his apparent lack of appreciation for the spiritual value of his birthright would dramatically shape future events. As the years passed, the differences between Esau and Jacob became increasingly evident. Esau stood out as a fearless hunter, capable of facing the dangers of the wilderness with courage and skill. His imposing, hairy figure was recognized by all, and many admired his strength and dexterity. He was a man of action, living in the present moment, without much concern for the future or deeper spiritual issues. Jacob, in contrast, grew in wisdom and cunning. He observed carefully the world around him, learning the nuances of human relationships and the secrets of trade. His mind was always working, planning, and anticipating future moves, although less physically impressive than his brother. Jacob possessed an inner strength and determination that would enable him to thrive in challenging circumstances. The family dynamics were complex. Isaac, now aging and with poor vision, found comfort in Esau's robust presence and the flavor of the game he brought home. For the patriarch, Esau represented the continuity of a strong lineage, capable of facing the challenges of a world often hostile. Rebekah, on the other hand, saw in Jacob the qualities necessary to lead God's people. She recognized in him a spiritual sensitivity and intelligence that, in her opinion, made him more suitable to carry on Abraham's legacy. This preference of the parents, though subtle, did not go unnoticed by the brothers. Esau, confident in his status as the firstborn and in his father's love, lived his days without much concern for the future implications of his actions. Jacob, on the other hand, grew with a keen awareness of his secondary position and a burning desire to change his destiny. The story of these brothers invites us to reflect on the complexities of family relationships, the weight of expectations, and how our choices can have far-reaching consequences. Esau and Jacob, so different since birth, were destined for a conflict that would transcend their personal lives, affecting entire nations. As Esau hunted in the fields of Canaan, unaware of the forces shaping his destiny, Jacob observed and planned. The stage was set for one of the most dramatic and consequential episodes in biblical history, a moment that would forever change the course of their lives and the future of their people. The sun was scorching the land of Canaan, its relentless rays making the air shimmer over the parched plains. In this arid and challenging landscape, another chapter in the intriguing story of the brothers Esau and Jacob was unfolding. The day had begun like many others, but it was destined to become a milestone in the history of two nations yet to be born. Esau, the skilled hunter, had set out at dawn with his bow on his back and a quiver full of arrows. He ventured into the wildlands in search of game. Hours passed, the sun rose high in the sky, and the heat intensified. The hunt, usually successful, proved exceptionally difficult that day. The animals seemed to have vanished, hiding from the scorching heat in burrows and inaccessible shadows. Meanwhile, in the safety of the family tents, Jacob occupied himself with his daily tasks. His eyes, always watchful, occasionally turned toward the horizon as if he were waiting for his brother's return. There was a tension in the air, a sense that something significant was about to happen. The hours dragged on, and the sun began its descent in the western sky. It was then that a staggering figure appeared on the horizon. It was Esau, exhausted and famished, returning from his fruitless hunt. His body, usually vigorous and full of energy, now seemed fragile and spent. Hunger and thirst had taken their toll, and the proud hunter could barely keep himself upright. Jacob, who had been watching his brother's approach, did not respond immediately. His shrewd eyes studied Esau, assessing the situation for a moment. The only sounds were the bubbling of the stew and Esau's labored breathing. Then Jacob spoke, his words carefully chosen. "Of course, my brother, but first, sell me your birthright." The request, seemingly absurd, hung in the air between them. Jacob, who had been watching his brother's approach, did not respond immediately. His shrewd eyes studied Esau, assessing the situation for a moment. The only sounds were the bubbling of the stew and Esau's labored breathing. Then Jacob spoke, his words carefully chosen. "Of course, my brother, but first, sell me your birthright." The request, seemingly absurd, hung in the air between them. The birthright was something sacred, an honor and responsibility, passed from father to the eldest son. It included not only a double portion of the inheritance, but also the leadership of the family. And more importantly, the spiritual blessing that carried the divine promises made to Abraham. Esau, in his state of exhaustion and extreme hunger, did not seem to fully grasp the weight of what was being asked of him. His response came quickly and thoughtlessly. "Look, I'm about to die of hunger. What good is the birthright to me?" Jacob, recognizing the unique opportunity before him, pressed on. "Swear to me right now," in a moment of weakness that would echo through the centuries. Esau swore, handing over his birthright for a bowl of food. The pact was sealed. Jacob served Esau's bread and lentil stew. The firstborn ate and drank eagerly, satisfying his immediate hunger and thirst, but losing something of immeasurable value in the process. When he finished his meal and the fog of hunger dissipated, Esau got up and left, seemingly indifferent to what he had just done. This seemingly trivial moment was, in fact, a monumental turning point. The words exchanged that day between the tents would reverberate for generations, shaping the destiny of entire nations. Esau's actions revealed much about his character. He was a man of the moment, driven by his immediate desires and needs. The hunger and fatigue led him to disregard something of immense spiritual and cultural value. His willingness to trade his birthright for a meal demonstrated a lack of long-term vision and a devaluation of his spiritual heritage. Jacob, on the other hand, proved to be calculating and opportunistic. He recognized the value of the birthright and was willing to take advantage of his brother's momentary weakness to obtain it. His action, although ethically questionable, revealed a deep understanding of the importance of spiritual blessings and a fierce determination to achieve what he saw as his destiny. The days that followed were marked by a silent tension between the brothers. Esau recovered from his exhaustion, but seemed to pay little attention to what had happened. He continued his life as a hunter, going out on his expeditions, seemingly forgetting the pact he had made. Jacob, on his part, kept the secret of his new position, waiting for the right moment to fully claim what he now considered his birthright. The news of the incident soon spread throughout the family. Rebekah, the mother of the twins, heard about the agreement with a mix of surprise and perhaps a hint of satisfaction. She had always seen Jacob as the more suitable son to carry on the family legacy. Isaac, on the other hand, remained oblivious to what had transpired, his failing eyesight preventing him from perceiving the subtle changes in the dynamics between his sons. This event raises profound questions about the value we attribute to things in our lives. What do we truly consider important? How easily are we willing to give up our heritage, whether material or spiritual, for immediate gains? The story of Esau and Jacob invites us to reflect on our own choices and priorities. Furthermore, the episode illustrates how seemingly small decisions can have far-reaching consequences. Esau's impulsive choice not only affected his life, but altered the course of history for his people. Sometimes we do not realize the weight of our actions at the moment we perform them, and only with time do we fully understand the impact of our decisions. The sale of the birthright also makes us question the role of destiny versus free will. The prophecy given to Rebekah before the twins' birth, that the older would serve the younger, seemed to be coming to fruition. But to what extent were Esau and Jacob's actions predestined, and to what extent were they the result of their own choices? As time passed, the implications of this agreement began to manifest in subtle ways. Jacob, now the holder of the birthright, adopted a more confident stance, started to get more involved in family matters, preparing for the leadership role he believed was his by right. Esau, in turn, continued his life as before, seemingly without remorse or regret for the exchange he had made. However, the seeds of conflict had been sown. The tension between the brothers, once latent, was now silently growing. It was only a matter of time before this tension would come to the surface, bringing with it consequences that neither of them could fully foresee. The story of Esau and Jacob, particularly this episode of the sale of the birthright, continues to fascinate and intrigue readers and scholars to this day. It is a narrative that transcends its historical context, offering timeless lessons about family, choices, consequences, and the delicate balance between destiny and free will. As the sun set over Isaac's tents on that fateful day, no one could fully predict the ramifications of what had occurred. The stage was set for even more dramatic events that would shape not only the future of Esau and Jacob, but the destiny of entire nations. The story of these brothers was far from over, and the following chapters promised to be even more intense and consequential. Years had passed since that fateful day when Esau sold his birthright for a bowl of lentils. Life in Isaac's tent had carried on, seemingly unchanged but beneath the surface. The currents of fate continued to move, setting the stage for one of the most dramatic and consequential moments in the history of this family. Isaac, the patriarch, was now an old man. His eyes, once bright and piercing, had been dimmed by age, leaving him nearly blind. Feeling the weight of the years on his shoulders, Isaac knew that the time had come to pass on the patriarchal blessing, a deeply significant spiritual and cultural act. On a quiet afternoon, Isaac called for Esau, his firstborn and favorite son. His voice, though weakened by age, still carried the authority of a respected leader.
"My son," he said, "I am old and do not know the day of my death.
Now take your weapons, your quiver and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt something for me. Prepare a tasty meal the way I like it, and bring it to me to eat, so that I may bless you before I die." Esau, always eager to please his father, immediately set out on his mission. The sound of his footsteps had barely faded when another figure emerged from the shadows of the tent. It was Rebekah, Isaac's wife, and the mother of the twins. She had overheard every word of the conversation between father and son, and her heart raced with the urgency of the moment. Without wasting any time, Rebekah rushed to find Jacob, her favorite son. "Listen," she whispered hurriedly. "I heard your father tell Esau to bring him game and prepare a tasty meal, so that he may bless him in the presence of the Lord before he dies. Now, my son, listen to me carefully and do what I say. Go to the flock and bring me 2 choice young goats. I will prepare a tasty meal for your father just the way he likes it. Then you will take it to your father to eat, so that he may bless you before his death." Jacob, always shrewd, immediately recognized the risks of the plan. "But my mother," he argued, "my brother Esau is a hairy man, and I have smooth skin. What if my father touches me? He'll realize that I am trying to deceive him and will curse me instead of blessing me." Rebekah, determined in her purpose, replied firmly, "My son, let the curse fall on me. Just obey me and go get the goats for me." Thus began an elaborate scheme. Rebekah, with skill and haste, prepared the meal exactly as Isaac liked it. Then she took the best clothes of Esau and dressed Jacob in them to complete the disguise. She covered Jacob's hands and neck with the skins of the goats, mimicking the texture of Esau's skin. With a racing heart and trembling hands, Jacob entered his father's tent, carrying the meal prepared by his mother. "My father," he called, trying to imitate Esau's voice. Isaac, surprised by the quick return, asked, "Who are you, my son?" Jacob answered, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I've done as you asked. Please sit up and eat of my game so that you may bless me." Isaac, still suspicious, requested that his son come closer so he could touch him. His wrinkled finger ran over Jacob's arms, feeling the hairy texture of the goatskins. "The voice is Jacob's," he murmured, "but the hands are Esau's." Confused, but still not entirely convinced, Isaac asked once more, "Are you really my son Esau?" "I am," Jacob lied, his heart pounding so hard he feared his father could hear it. Finally convinced, or perhaps simply weary of doubting, Isaac asked for the meal. He ate and drank the wine that Jacob brought him, then called his son close and kissed him. As he smelled the scent of Esau's clothes, Isaac's last doubts dissipated. With a solemn voice, the patriarch began to pronounce the blessing. "Ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you of the dew of heaven and of the fatness of the earth, plenty of grain and wine. Let people serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mother bow down to you. Cursed be everyone who curses you, and blessed be everyone who blesses you." The words, laden with power and promise, echoed through the tent. Jacob, trembling under the weight of the moment and the guilt of his deception, could hardly believe that his plan had succeeded. The blessing meant for Esau was now his. Barely had Jacob left his father's presence when Esau returned from his hunt, proud of his success and eager to receive the blessing.